In this demo, we are going to create a new Azure SQL database using the Azure portal. Now you can see there from the screenshot, I've gone to portal.azure.com and I've logged in using my account and my credentials. From there, on the left-hand navigation pane, I'm going to click on Create a Resource. This is going to open up a new blade for me, and you can see there on the right-hand side of that blade, under the popular section, I have got SQL Database. I'm going to click on SQL Database, and then I need to provide some information such as a database name, a subscription, and a resource group. Now I'm going to call my database, let's call it Toy Store. Okay, I'm going to use my MSDN platform subscription. If you've got other subscriptions in here, you can use them. I'm going to use my MSDN platform subscription. Resource group, I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call this Toy Store as well. And then as a source, I'm going to leave it as a blank database. But you deploy a sample database there if you want to, or you can use a backup, a DAC file, put your database in. I'm just going to leave it blank. Then I'm going to select the server option to create an Azure SQL server. Okay, and if you've got an existing one of these already, you can do that too. So I'm going to click on Configure. In the server name, I need to give my server a name and an admin login. Now, in this case, I'm going to call my server Toy Factory, and I need to give it an admin login. So I'm going to call it SQL admin, and I'm going to give it a password. Now, you can see there, it's instantly come up with some warnings. It must be at least 8 characters long. Can't be any more than 128 characters, and it must contain characters from 3 of the following: English, uppercase, letters, lowercase, numbers, and non-alphanumeric characters. And it can't contain all or part of the login name above. So I'm going to give this a password that only I'm going to know. I'm going to try and do that again. Let me do that again, because I've actually forgotten what I just typed in there. Okay, try that again, and we're good. And then I get to choose a location. Now I'm based in the UK, so I'm going to choose UK South. It's probably the closest one to me, I think. This location is not available for this subscription. That's useful. Then I will stick to, let's pick a European one, see if I can get in a European data center. West Europe. Okay, so once we've got the server set up, I can click on Select. We've got our server set up. Next, we've got, do we want to use a SQL Elastic pool? We're going to leave the default set there as not now. And then under the pricing tier, I'm going to leave it set as standard, but you can change all these here. So you can pick basic for less demanding workloads. If you've got premium or they're really busy servers and these are your production environment and you really want them to perform well, then you're possibly going to be choosing premium here. I'm going to leave mine on standard for the time being. And you can see there how the pricing works for that. So it starts at £11.18 Great British pounds per month. Obviously the basic is cheaper and the premium is much more expensive. So I'm going to leave that as is. And then in terms of collation, I'm just going to accept the default collation here, and I'm going to click on Create. Okay, we will get a new, please fix the errors on this page. Click on Apply. There we go. So I hadn't applied my pricing tier. They thought I was going to make changes to that. And I'm going to click on Create, and Azure will go away and provision me with a new Azure database. Now, this is going to take anything between 2-5 minutes to do. Depends how busy things are in the Microsoft Data Center, but we will get a notification here under the notification tab when my deployment has completed. So you can see here my deployment has succeeded. Lots of green ticks, everybody's happy. I'm just going to click on Go to Resource. With the Azure SQL database created, we now have a blank database sat in Azure. In the next section, we're going to look at connecting and querying to the SQL database using the portal. Now when my deployment has succeeded, I clicked on the option here, Go to a Resource. So I've gone to the resource and it's taken me to my Azure SQL database. So if I just come across here, you can see there we're in Toy Store, and then we've got this page here where we've got an overview of our Azure SQL database. We can see how big you can see from the dashboard here all the sort of options available, the resources that are being used, the features that are available, any notifications, how much space we've used, and so on. The option I'm interested here in terms of working with data in the Azure portal is the query editor. And you can see there it's marked as being in preview. Now what that means is that it hasn't been made available on general release yet, but you can use it in preview mode. So click on Query Editor, and then in the Query Editor preview pane, we're going to click on the login option here. Now, I created an admin called SQL Admin when I created my server, so I'm just going to enter the password that I entered there, and we are now in. And you can see there's no tables, no views, or there's a firewall view, and there's no stored procedures in my database. Okay, and you saw the login text box was automatically populated with the collect login. We just needed to enter the password. Now, with us signed in and authenticated, what I'm going to do now, you can see here, if you're familiar with Management Studio, this looks quite familiar. Just click never on that. We've got a new query window here, if you like, under the tab Query 1. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch to a pre-prepared query I've made earlier. Okay, we're going to create a new table called orders, and then using common table expressions and cross joins or Cartesian products, we're going to build up some sample data of around about 65,000 rows, just over, to give us some data to work with in our new database. So if I switch back to Azure, and I'm just going to paste this query in, the first thing I'm going to do is highlight the create table statement, and I'm going to click on run. No rows affected, but now if I go to my tables option here, or click on refresh first, we now have an orders table. I'm now going to use my common table expression and my cross joins to populate the orders table with just over 65,000 rows. Okay, and then we're just going to do a quick select. I'll make it a top 10. Let's try that. And if we run the query, I do need to highlight it because I don't want to try and create the table again. It will error if I do that. Click on run query, go away, populate our table, and then select the top 10 rows from it, all being well. And there you can see we've got our top 10 rows returned. So working with Query Editor in the portal is fine, but the chances are you're going to want to work with your favorite SQL Server client tool, SQL Server Management Studio. So in this next bit, we're going to look at connecting and querying the SQL database from SQL Server Management Studio.